Hello. Well, welcome to more Activision, and then we'll finish up with the remainder of my Atari 2600 collection. And if I can keep it tight enough, it'll be one video, but if not, two videos. Maybe I'll release them both at the same time. I kind of want to move on to other things, but including, well, I'm actually throwing in a bonus, but I'll save that for later. So my remaining 7 Activision cards, I've saved Kaboom so that I can play some more Circus Atari, because you can't just bring out one paddle game. I mean, if you're going to bring out the paddles, you can bring 2. And I have these tags on these still. Circus Atari cost me only $2. The label's in great nick, and it's the original picture label. My copy of Kaboom actually has a label that's in pretty decent shape. I think possibly the best of all my Activision cards. And that was a $5. And it says on here, Game 1, 1 player versus the Mad Bomber, and Game 2 is 2 players versus the Mad Bomber. Ooh. Variety. And I also got my PAL copy of Robot Tank, which works. Yay! I'll put in my NTSC ones. You can see how that does not work with the 1.0 firmware. I think the beta testers have determined that the 1.1 firmware does work with the NTSC Robot Tank. Also Sequest, Skyjinx, Spider Fighter, $4. Stampede, this one was $8. Where the heck did I buy this? That was a place in Chicago that was a bit, and actually this label's in excellent shape too. And last but not least, Star Master, fitting with my wardrobe today. And this one, clearly, another really good neck label here. I can actually read. Game 1 is Ensign. The games are numbered for the different difficulty levels. So we have those. That represents the Activision contingent. In addition to Circus Atari, which I did play in my unboxing video, but I really like Circus Atari. What can you say? We'll see if we can get through without murdering all the clowns this time. But in addition to which, I recently got this actual shrink-wrapped, although the box was crushed, copy of Clax, which I will talk more about later. Pristine. Midnight Magic, another red label release towards the end of the 2600 game releases back in the original, when the 2600 was still having software published for it by Atari Corporation. Midnight Magic, although you might not think it is a video pinball game, I had no idea Atari took another stab at that. Mr. Run and Jump, this is one of the new carts. This game was released in a more tarted up format for modern consoles, and probably mobile and everything else in the universe. But this was really kind of special that they put out a 2600 version to coincide with the release of the 2600 Plus. Raiders of the Lost Ark. This one can be tricky to find. Well, not really, but it is one of the more expensive ones. It's got kind of a rep. This is kind of weird, a weird game. It is like adventure, well, it is one of these games that I think the intent was good, but the execution is possibly not so much. Solaris, one of the last, another red label release from the creator of Star Raiders. And you can see here that the label on this one is damaged. That's because, for reasons that are not clear to me, later Atari cartridges, this one actually was unusual in having a plate in it, although it doesn't stick right. But some of the later ones, Clax is like this as well. There's 2 notches in the thing. Thankfully, this was in a box, so it didn't get damaged, but as a result, you do get some of these that have damage to the label from how they were stored. 7800 carts are the same. I'm going to finish off with Robotron 2084, the 7800, which I had imported from the United States, and for which I have a special gamepad to demo. So, without further ado, let's play Atari. So we're going to start out with Kaboom. This is a pretty straightforward game. Unfortunately, unlike a lot of Atari games, there's no thing on the thing screen to show you, so you can figure out which paddle is the one that you're supposed to be using. Because these cables are so long, I can't easily. Maybe I can figure it out. Should do a cable trace live on air. I guess it's this one. All right. So, this is a game that's got some jitter in it, like many of these paddle games do on the 2600, owing to the paddle resolution or whatever the issue is due to the chip that is interpreting the signals from the DB9 port for the emulator. But, you can still play it. I'm just not going to be able to manage a game that is as good as what I could do normally. Alright, so now I'm ready to go. Push the button. Starts out pretty straightforward. You got a bunch of buckets. You're catching the bombs from the Mad Bomber. You get 3 buckets so you can come in at the side. So each round you got to press the button again. So it is nice that it lets you tell it when you're ready to go. Which means that I can do stuff like adjust my volume a little. But the speed quickly ramps up. Oh, and I missed one. And when you miss one, you lose a bucket. And of course, they take them from the bottom, so that it's actually more difficult than break out that way. Oh, blast it. And that one was like a slow motion car crash. I could see I missed that bomb, but anyway, it's not too bad. I mean, the people make a thing about the thing, but you know, the panel controllers. I don't know. I'll do it again just to demo. I mean, this feels all right to me. This is a game that you might be able to play with a joystick. I don't know. Obviously, it would have been in the Activision Anthology on the Game Boy Advance, and you would have been using a D-pad. I'm sure whoever did that emulation, I can't remember if it was digital Eclipse or not. Yeah, bing. The good thing about this game is, as manic as it seems, it never feels unfair. I have actually played this in the past and gotten quite a high score using like a mouse interface or something like that. But yeah, Kaboom! It's basic. It's yet another, instead of a breakout variant. It's it's got to use the paddle to touch the thing, so bouncing them back up, you're catching them. Whatever. Cool. Cool. And we'll do the pull the cart while the machine's still got power thing. Circus Atari. I was so happy to find this. I nearly bought it from a place. It was just with just a text label, and they wanted like $9 for it. And I was so glad that I went, you know what? I'm going to go to another shop on my list and see if they have it, and they did, and they had it for a quarter of the price with the labels on it. I mean, I actually have played this game in the arcade back in the day, and it there's colorful blocks that they're supposed to be balloons, and the arcade actually do look like balloons, and these little figures look more like clowns. Now, last time I played this, I was going to say I didn't. I kind of let the side down a bit, and here I am, and I haven't burst a single balloon, and 2 of these guys pancaked their heads already. 3 of them did. Jeez. Come on, guys. There you go. There's only 1. Oh, you are just the worst clowns. Acrobats. There we go. Get up there. Yeah, right. Again, press the button to flips the teeter-totter around so that when it goes to the corner, you can still get them. Gotta get some momentum. Oh, dead. But there you go. I just wanted to, like I said, you gotta have a freaking, you can't just play one paddle game. You're gonna break the paddles out. You gotta play more than one. Now, and arguably there is one missing from my collection here, and that I don't have Warlords. I really should get that, but I'm still planning a return trip to Chicago in the fall, and I'll hit up my shops, and this time I will be looking for that one and a few others that have come to my attention. But I'm also hoping that we'll have another compilation from our friends at Atari, that they'll do a re-release of some kind, since that is one of the IPs that they own outright. All right, now I got two different joysticks here. Obviously I'm going to play with the CX40, but for one of these games, I will also be using this, which I picked up at an antique shop near me for 10 pounds. I've seen it in eBay going for 30 to 40 quid, so I feel like a good deal. This is a Sure Shot. There is no manufacturer indicator anywhere on this, no other writing other than Sure Shot. Two buttons, they're both the same, so right and left handy. With this, you probably can't hear this, but I can hear micro clickers inside this. I mean, this is like, got some arcade type of internals happening, and it's a good stick, and it's in good nick, so neat. The buttons are a little hit and miss though. I don't feel they're quite as responsive, so I am planning to break this open at some point and see if there's something that needs cleaning in there. But in the meantime, Robot Tank. Oh yes, I said I was going to show my non-functional NTSC cart. Got that on the shelf here. So this is the NTSC one, which I spent $5 on. This is my PAL one. They look pretty much the same. The main difference is there's a boatload more text on this, on the PAL card, because it's got different languages, and the text on the end label is slightly smaller. So this is what the NTSC card does. I was kind of disappointed because when I found this in the shop, this is the last shop I went to, and I was like, oh boy, I found Robot Tank. And then I learned that, oh, it doesn't freaking work. So you get this. Kind of scrolling nonsense. So yeah, not a good look. But apparently fixed in the version 1.1 firmware. Whereas the PAL version works fine. So this is a game, like a number of Activision games, that has no difficulty switch settings, there's no game modes, there's nothing like that. You just hit reset and away you go. So that black shape up there, you can see there's a radar scope below. And as you get closer, you can see that's a tank. So you're going through and you're blowing up tanks. Now you can see up in the upper right-hand corner, a little tank has appeared. So this is, if you're familiar with the arcade game Battlezone, this is kind of a Battlezone clone, although it has some important differences. It still has a radar, but you'll notice surrounding the radar, for one thing, I can shoot the shots coming at me. For another thing, the tanks will not fire at you unless you're facing them. And for a third thing, the time of day changes until eventually it's so dark that you can only navigate with your scope. But for using just this joystick, the controls are pretty decent. It's just left and right, directly left and right, forward and forward. hold back on the stick and go backwards. Now what these tanks are firing at me are supposed to be rockets, so they will kind of home in on you. You can shoot them, so that's a good idea. Now, and I pointed out before, but if you look at the top, it's harder to see when the screen's all black, but when it's flashing, you'll see tanks. So every time I shoot one, I get a little tank up there. And there are different waves. And the wave ends when you've destroyed 12 tanks. Oh, now it's raining, so I guess the time of day is changing. Rain alert. And you'll see up in the top, there is like a clock. One day, but then I keep getting sidetracked, but the squares on either side of the radar correspond to these systems of your tank, so you can get damaged. I mean, you can get damaged short of being destroyed. V stands for video, which means your screen will flicker on and off. C is your cannon, and you'll still be able to shoot, but it will be intermittent. T is the treads, which means you won't be able to move very well. So movement will slow down. And R is your radar, which I've just lost. Oh, and then I get hit again. So that's me losing a life. The lives are down at the bottom on the left. So it is a Battlezone clone, but and it's a pretty good one. I will say that I have not heard great things about the Battlezone part on the 2600. There is one. There we go, and I have a little 12 up there. Once I've beaten the first squadron of tanks, it was a little 12. The patches that Activision had for this game, I think there were 4 different patches or 4 ranks. So you have to defeat, I think there's a total of, I want to say, 12 squadrons or something. In the basic level, entry level patch, you get sort of 4, and then the other ones I think come in that they're not like 8, 12, whatever. It's like 4, 6, 8, and 10 or something like that. You don't have to have hit to get all of them. But you get the feel for this. I mean, I can actually do pretty well. The first time I played this game, when I got it, I almost finished 4. I didn't get my patch, but I came pretty close. Not trying to brag, but what can I say? I've been playing these games a long time. So we'll move on to Sequest, as I am actually keen to make this one video. Oh, and I flipped the switch. I said I wasn't going to do that. Old habits and all that. This is a pretty groovy game. Alright, so we got an oxygen meter, we got a sub. This is a game that just starts. The object here is to rescue the guys, and you can shoot the guys, the sharks, who are threatening your divers. And then there's subs, enemy submarines on the bottom. The next time I see a shark, I'm going to show you what happens here. So the shark comes, he's just chasing the diver. The divers don't get eaten. So I'm running out of oxygen, it's telling me. And when you get 6 divers, then it goes to the next wave, but also you need the surface to get that O2. I just like how you're firing torpedoes at sharks. It's a bit OTT. Nope. Got a full rack. And rinse and repeat. And what will happen down the line is you get more subs. Oh, look, the sharks are teaming up. They're in pairs of sharks. See, I can't shoot the subs on the surface, which is annoying. On the flip side, they don't have any death. Oh! These sharks, they're tough. Sharks will kill your sub somehow. Oh, I little too aggressive. More aggressive than my accuracy would allow for. Oh. Alright, last submarine-y. Oh! Well, that's pretty fun, though. I like that one. I wouldn't mind getting Atari's Aquaventure. That was a late, I think that was a posthumous release. I don't think that one actually came out. I think it was like an unreleased card or something. The crash happened so suddenly that some of these things just didn't make it to market, even though they existed. But you can get Aquaventure in a lot of in at least a couple of the collections. Certainly Atari 50 has that. This is Skyjinx. I picked this one up pretty recently. Well, since I came back, I didn't get this in Chicago. And then I got to I had a look at it and I was like, oh, I like the way this looks. You know, it's another one of these little oddities. In this case, you're flying your plane and you're doing like a slalom. I can't remember. I haven't read the thing. You're supposed to pass the. You were supposed to pass the red ones on the right and the blue ones on the left. I think that's right. Yeah, so it's counting down, and you're trying to do them as quickly as possible. Now, this one I think does have additional game modes that become more challenging. Obviously, you've got obstacles like trees and hot air balloons floating on by lazily. Oh. Now, weirdly, in this one, I didn't get all of them. I ran out of time. It's one of those like just hit it and quit it kind of games. Spider Fighter. I really enjoyed this. $3.99. Such a deal. This is a frenetic arcade kind of game. So the object here, those things up in the right-hand corner, is your fruit, which you're trying to protect from the spiders. I don't know why spiders would care about fruit, although we have discovered in the past 20 years or so a spider in the tropics that does eat vegetation, which I think is a first, and probably would like this fruit. So those three things up there are nests, I guess, and then, I mean, I could read the manual and tell you for sure what they are, but then they turn into spiders. And again, this is I think a difficulty option to probably need to start the game with that. Or there's a different game mode where you can, like I'm steering these shots a little, you might be able to see they're kind of wiggling a little bit. And when you hit the last, if you hit this thing before the nest thing, then they all mutate into crazy spiders that go super fast and shoot you. Oh, I got oranges up there. I just like the speed of this game. It's so frenetic. You got these little crazy minions coming at you. But if you leave them long enough, and I don't, they will go up and try to grab your fruit. Ah. Not having that. I'm just going to sit there and watch you steal my fruit. It's unfair when they're like right on top of you like that. Ah! He's making a play for it. And grab the delicious oranges. Well, this time it's grapes, it looks like. no actual music really, except for the little do-do-do-do-do tone. Oh, mutually assured destruction, simultaneous kill and death. Well, it's a pretty fun little shooter. I enjoy that. It's got some good animation in it. Things flying about. Here's another quirky one, Stampede. There, I got 3 attempts. And I just lasso them. Oh, there's the Black Angus. Oh, man. Alright, I'm gonna scoot these ones along. Yeah, that was too many. I think the 3 is the number of cows you can miss, not the number of attempts you get. So that's your miss one. 7, 8. There's actually 8 game modes in this. Wow. Anyway, you get the gist. But now this game was listed as working in the compatibility list that Atari put out in advance of the 2600 plus release. And so on that basis, I was like, yay, I'm going to get to play Star Raiders. And it does, in fact, load. And, ooh, look at me, it does, in fact, play. However, you can see a little radar scope and more right there. Oh, it's turning red. And the enemies baddies are close. Xylon Raiders. Now, the problem is, though, they're really doing a number on me. The problem is that the video touchpad isn't supported. And the video touchpad is not as critical because in this game you're supposed to be going and clearing the quadrants of the galaxy, the different sectors of baddies. The problem is, well, without video touchpad support, I can't get into the galactic map and I can't choose where I want to go. So I can't find my base if I want to repair my stuff. I can't refuel. And you can see I've taken some damage here, the little targeting thing on my screens. I can't fix any of that. I can't do it. So all I can do is like fly around this sector of the galaxy until I'm eventually dead, or I kill all the baddies and then there's nothing for me to do and I can't go anywhere else and blah. So, this is apparently an issue. One of the issue with this, the device that is used that is giving problems with the paddle controllers is also not able to interpret signals correctly. This is the touchpad controller. Hopefully that's visible. Oh, yep. There. So you can see only 5 buttons are used. So for view, the galactic map, you can turn your shields on and off, and computer on and off, and the hyperwarp button. Now the 2 bottom bits, turning off your targeting computer and your shields, that's optional. So that's a difficulty switch setting that determines whether those buttons actually work or not. But nothing happens. You connect it up to the right controller port and it does nothing at all. So that's a shame. So in lieu of having a functioning Star Raiders game, there are 2 other options for us, 2600 plus owners, one of them being Star Master. Now Star Master has a creative solution to the we're not supporting the keypad because I think this game came out possibly before Star Raiders. I'm not sure what the timing is here. They both came out in 82. I remember I got Star Raiders towards the end of 1982. I do know that Star Master is very much similar to Star Raiders. So difficulty switch selection. These are the different things. I'm going to go Ensign. I haven't tried the other higher difficulties yet. I can complete this game though. So you can see this is the galactic map above. So there's 4 big things. Those are your star bases. This little doodad in the corner is you. When I start the game, I'll be able to choose a sector and all that. And the individual dots are enemy ships. Right? So, pretty straightforward. Now, in order to bring up the galactic map, instead of having a special keypad controller, we flip the color and black and white switch. So now I can go and get these. So you see the enemies move around. They apparently move around and periodically according to some kind of schedule. And the star effects, it's not, to me, as visually interesting as Star Raiders, but it is still a Star Raiders-like game that scratches that itch, kind of. Now the screen down at the bottom, the indicator turns red when there's baddies. When you're in near the baddies, and when they're all gone, it'll turn green. Now I went and chose a sector that has, and you can shoot their shots. So that turned green. So I've killed all the baddies in the sector. Now E is the energy that counts down as I'm traveling around. So I go back to the map, and let's. Oh yeah, it's showing the warp energy required to go there, and the W. Aha. I don't know what the S stands for though. We'll go to 1 with 2. Now the D area on the bottom in the blue rectangle, square I was going to say, the blue rectangle, is your damage indicators. And you can have your weapons go out, and you can have your warp drive go out. If your warp drive goes out, you're kind of scuppered. You have to travel the old-fashioned way. And baddies, the Xylons or Cylons or whatever the heck they are. There's another ship that's fired at me, but I don't see him yet. Oh no, I did get him. That was it. Okay, cool. And then we just go up here. There's only 1. So when you play the Jensen level, it's pretty basic. You got like 10 or so enemies. Occasionally you'll have a rock flying at you. You can dodge it or shoot it. You know, the star field effects are okay. There's nothing in particular you need to find these guys. They're just flying around. So, you know, Star Raiders is a little more finesse, where you have your radar screen showing you relative baddie positions, and you need to move to track them. This game is, there's a rock. This game is a little more straightforward. You get to where they are, your center cursor, your crosshairs start to flash to tell you your enemy is nearby, and you just... I'm at least happy, you know, and you just fire, rinse and repeat. But Star Raiders is a little more sophisticated. I like the star field better. I like the fact that you have the ability to turn your stuff on and off. And all right, so here my cursors turn blue to tell me everything that I'm going near the base, and there's the base. I just have to kind of home in on it. There it is. You know, my energy is all topped off. Both games have a similar control, and so does the one I'm going to play after this, where it's like flight simulator mode. So press forward on the stick to dive, pull back to climb, and then left and right for port and starboard. Pretty good stuff. You can use that, you know, you can go diagonals and stuff. It's pretty groovy. All right, so then the next spacey shoot game is Solaris. And this is a PAL copy. Did I get this? I got this with the manual, not with the box. You can sometimes find these. This is one of the, released in 1986. It's one of the later releases published by Atari. Mr. Neubauer, who also gave us Star Raiders, and I want to say, did he do E.T. and Raiders Lost Ark? I'm not sure. I think that might be yes. Probably have to watch the documentary stuff on the Atari 50 comp again. This, although there was a game called Star Raiders 2, released on the Atari 8-bit platforms, both the 5200 and the 400, 800 family of computers, which was really big. I had a bootleg copy of it that was the unreleased original version of it, where it was called The Last Starfighter. like the film, and had a little intro from like The Last Starfighter. That was removed, and the game was later released as Star Raiders 2, which is pretty cool. But that game never came out in any form on the 2600, but instead we have Solaris, which is pretty, it's basically like a sequel to Star Raiders. Now this one, again, no video touchpad here, joystick only. But unlike Star Master, we don't flip a switch to go to a galactic map. Instead, the game has stages. So your goal here, and the map is far beyond what you see initially. You can go off into different areas. I've never actually completed this game. The goal is to find the planet Solaris, which is where our baddie headquarters is, and to blow it up. But what happens is you are... And again, this is not no game modes or anything. This is a game. I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's game modes now. And I've hit the reset switch, and now I just accelerate. And there we go. I'm going into space. And I can shoot. My ship is on screen this time instead of just a cursor. Now, what they do instead of having a galactic map in between is you choose your location. Now you can navigate around, but not through the star field areas. So these guys, I think, are baddies. This is some kind of space pirates or something. You can see the sun is counting down. It's just automatically going to send me. And these areas, you go through the other side. So I'm going to go in here, in the space pirates. Now you're trying to, in order to get the best speed possible, you want to line up the images. Your ship and like overlays with another one. And again, like Star Raiders, you can see that my radar scope, oh, there we go, it's green. When there's no baddies, when there's baddies, it is red. And this time there's an enemy thing. It looks like a Cylon warship from the Battlestar Galactica show from the 70s. And there we go. So once you've cleared everything, you go back to the galactic map, and then you can choose your next area. I need a friendly port of call. Refuel. There's curtains. Oh, there's a friendly port of call up there, but I have to go and fight the enemy flagship first, so I suspect this isn't going to turn out too good. Okay, I want to line up with that thing so I can go. Here's the base ship. Phew! And I'm practically out of fuel. Yep, and that's it for me. But pretty cool, Solaris. I mean, it's a game that I first played in a compilation, probably the Evercade one, and then Atari 50. And I was like, that was all right, but I wasn't reading, I didn't have the manual, and so I couldn't figure out what was going on. And that makes a big difference. Once you understand what's happening, the game becomes a lot more interesting. And now, we're going to have a little Midnight Magic. Now, I played the Atari Video Pinball and the 10-in-1 cart in my Let's Play Part 1, so the second video in this series. Video pinball is like the most meh video pinball game ever. This, however, which came out much later, is pretty groovy. Unlike a lot of later Atari games, you just press the action button to go. So the controls are very much the same, except that you press down to do both flippers instead of up. But as you can see, the table design is a lot more interesting. I don't think there's a way to tilt the machine. I certainly can't see one. But, the table design is better. It's just a far more dynamic environment. So I've got to say, I'm a bit surprised that they took another bite at the apple. It's got a spinner in it. I mean, that's kind of cool. There's just a lot more features on the table. go for. You see the little colored things on the top are kind of like drop targets. The Intellivision's version of pinball, which I think is on one of the Evercade Intellivision collections, was way better than video pinball. But I think that this actually gives that a run for its money. It's a very, I mean, again, the physics are still a bit whack, but you know, what do you want from an 8-bit pinball table? I got kickers. Oh, come on. But it's you know, it's quite playable. Unlike video pinball, I'm not sitting here going, when is this going to end? I actually like, you know, hey, this isn't bad. With a title like Midnight Magic, though, you don't know, like, what does that mean? I wouldn't have expected that to be a pinball game. I can't make it, I don't think it has a nudge control at all. Yeah. And look at that, you get a little jingle and it tells you game over. I mean, that's kind of a, you know, that's the first time I've ever seen that in an Atari game. So that's kind of cool. And it also tells me I got the high score. It's like, okay. Not that it records it, but still, neat. Now this was a real pleasant surprise. So Clax is a puzzle game that was released in the arcades. Now, I think I mentioned before, we got some funky, that didn't load right. So Atari, after the video game crash, Jack Tramiel, who had founded Commodore Computers and then left, you know, Atari was, Warner Brothers hemorrhaged a lot of money in the crash. They still wanted, their arcade division was still profitable, so they wanted to keep that. But Jack Tramiel did a deal and he bought the home console division and the home computing division, and then promptly released the Atari XL series of computers, which were quite successful. They were definitely a lot cheaper than the 400-800. I remember when the 400-800 came out and I was like, gee, that would be neat, but there was no way my family was going to pay that money for that. But the arcade division carried on. Now, did it just start? No, it didn't. Okay, so this is just a track mode still. Anyway, so Atari Games' arcade division continued as Atari Games, and the computing and console division continued as Atari Corporation. So, interestingly though, so I think I mentioned last time that Atari Games created a home console division to release games, ports of stuff that they had at home called Tengen, things they had rights to. And they got into hot water with Nintendo by releasing unlicensed copies of both Pac-Man, which I think that they lost the rights soon after that, if not because of that, and Tetris, which at the time they believed, later determined falsely, believed that they had the arcade and home console rights to. And so they released a version of Tetris. The first version of Tetris released on the NES was from Tengen. Now this is Clax, which you can see on the bottom, Atari Games licensed to Tengen, Inc. All rights reserved. So this is a Tengen release. So interestingly, this is Atari Games home console division releasing a game for Atari 2600. This, I believe, you'll see the copyright's 1990. I believe this is the last cartridge that was produced during the 2600, by this time what is known as the 2600 Junior's lifetime. Also, the cart has a P sticker on the bottom. This is a PAL release, and I believe this was only released in PAL territories. Now there's no voice, but the root of the game is here. So this is just a push button. You know, you hit the button, you choose what wave you want to start at. It's a puzzle game. You're trying to match colors in different directions. So this one says you got to get 3 claxes, and a clax is just 3 in a row. Could be horizontal, could be diagonal, could be vertical. And if you played the arcade game, this is a ramp, and these are supposed to be tiles, and you'll see that it's trying to convey the fact that the tile's flipping by having it kind of change its width or thickness over and over again. And I have to say, the mechanic is you have a paddle, and you are catching the blocks, and then you press the button to drop them into place. And what I'm kind of impressed with about this game is how faithful it is to the arcade. Despite the simplicity of the 2600's graphics, this is a very faithful version of the arcade game. And it's telling you stuff like the score on the bottom, and it does the bonus count, and you know, counting up the empty spaces to get the bonus, all the same as the arcade, and doing it with the 2600's limitations. I'm amazed. So you pull down and you flip the things. I mean, what's missing also is the voice. There was a sampled human voice in the original game that would tell you when the wave was starting and what kind of wave it was. Oh, I blew that. Oh, that's fine. I'll get 2. So it is really quite a nice, a nice game. And I think, sorry, I can pause the action. With that, I think the game select switch does some other function. None of these things are used. Oh, I missed one. You can see the circles at the top. You have only 3 misses, and there is a limit to how many blocks or tiles you can pick up. You can only stack like 4. The dark gray bars on either side indicate the limit to how many you can have. So you can only have them 5 deep and 6 across. That becomes important later because there are waves in which you have to survive so many tiles, which means you have to get claxes to clear or you will run out of room. For this one, I need to get 3 diagonals, and it's telling me to count at the bottom in case I forgot what I'm doing. That's 1. 2 to go. So the key with the diagonal is you have to stack blocks up. So in this case, I want to have that one so I can have the diagonal. You can get bonus points for doing things that aren't diagonals, but I only need 1 yellow one, really. But I might not get it, so I better hedge. No, I should have. Yeah, that's fine. I got it. Up, 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 up. Yay. Right, I mean, for a 2600 game, this is amazing. I mean, it's so faithful to the arcade. It's a really good quality port. I do think this is one that would merit a re-release. I think there's a homebrew version for the 7800. Definitely seems like something that would be worthy to be remastered. But as I noted, this is from the Atari Games catalog, not Atari Corp. So any kind of reissue by Atari as it presently exists would be requiring negotiation of rights with Warner, who probably still owns the rights to Clax, since it was their stuff. And you see, just like the arcade, I still can only miss, I have a limit. Now this one I got it so I've already had 1 miss, so I only get 2 more, and then it's game over. So it is, again, like, there I go and do it. There I done it. This one I gotta survive 40 tiles, which means I gotta get some claxes. I'm leaving that empty space in the middle because that, if I get 5 in a row across like that, that's big bucks. But that means I gotta wait for that yellow one to come down the pike. Look at that, 1,000. Woo! Oh, there you go. So So I continue it. So I got to continue countdown just like the arcade. It's amazing. Or you start over and you go back to your intro. But this, again, this is very much like the arcade title screen. Just really a really pleasant surprise. I do like this arcade game. I think they did just a great job with it. And this card, interestingly, is, I don't even know why they have the P on it. It's like there wasn't an NTSC version released. So who are we talking to? So I'm going to do Mr. Run and Jump now. This should be pretty brief. So this is a runner type game. It's a genre that's become very popular, especially in the mobile space where you just have to like tap the screen to jump. I've played Mario Run on my iPhone years ago. And then I have the venerable Bit Trip series featured Bit Trip Runner, and then there's Choice Provisions released Bit Trip Runner 2 as a standalone game with really tarted up graphics, and they're lots of fun. So this is kind of Atari's take on it. So this is another one of these, just press the button to go. So I'm Mr. Run and Jump, I'm trying to get my dog. No music, just press the button. Gotta jump over those things, and you see I have a clock. Now this apparently has a finale to it. I guess there's 4 stages or something. Oh, I didn't make that. Oh, man. Now, unlike a lot of endless... What the heck? Oh, wait a minute. Is this the one that has the invisible... No. There we go. I just didn't hold the button down long enough. So you're basically just trying to go through and it's rinse, wash, repeat. A lot of games of this nature, you die and you'll instantly, if you play like Bit Trip Runner, for example, it just gives you like 2 beats and starts up again, so you don't have time to get frustrated. So that was level 1. And again, we're changing color, like a lot of Atari games do. So that you're on the new level. Oh, that one's kind of tricky. Now, I haven't really played this too much. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Now, if you die at any point, you do start off at the beginning of the level again. But because it's an Atari 2600 game, it doesn't have a built-in... You gotta be joking. I don't like that. The jump that's like slightly too far, that kind of annoys me. It's like, come on now. Now I could play this until that time runs out, which I think is like gives me, hours of... gotta be joking. So practically speaking, though, the amount of time I have is the amount of time I have until I decide that that's enough of that. So, yes, I made it. Oh, this is tricky. Oh, first try. Look at that. Still got it. Oh, this is as far as I think I got before. A little diamond. Oh, no. Look at that. Oh. All right, that's enough of that. Well, that's that. All right, now, next one up is going to be Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, for this one, you need 2 controllers. Creatively, now, according to the manual, and other people have said this as well, the right-hand controller moves indie, and the left-hand controller manages your inventory. However, I'm pretty sure, at least with the 1.0 firmware, that it is reversed. Let's see if I'm right. Look at that, we're playing it. God, this game is massive. Oh, I want to be with Indiana Jones. And look at this, press the button to go. And yeah, see, I'm using a left-hand controller to move. So opposite what a 2600 would do. Now, The manual for this is really important to know what you're looking at. That's a rock. You can only go through it one way. The thing coming down at me is a snake. That's a whip. Now, the bottom is my inventory. So, and interestingly, when they appear in the field, they are grossly distorted. So that's a flute. Now, in order to buy the flute, I'm trying to remember, I need to give this guy the gold. But if I touch him, then he's offended. So I can't use it. And the inventory selection so if I, is it not detecting the stick? There it is. Now I got the flute. See? And now I'm selecting this. So now this is the whip. Now these are baskets. I got a grenade. I can whip the snakes. The snakes are one of the banes of your existence. The reason we want the flute is when you select the flute, snakes don't kill you. So I got a handgun out of that basket. I got a key out of that one. This guy sells a parachute, but I don't have any money, so I can't buy it. Now, where this gets really dumb. So, if you have the manual for the game and you really want it, it has hints in it. Hints being, what the heck do I do? So I know I've got this screen. Nothing here. And a lot of it's it's like, how would I figure out to buy the thing from this guy? The flute. With the money bag that you get initially. Now if I go down here, I fall in space and I die. That's great. Thanks for that. And this is some mean person who's going to try to kill me. When I go up, I get back here. If I go down, I'm falling to my death again. If I go off here, oh, I can't get over there. I need a parachute. But how do I know? So what you're actually supposed to do here, and it's so obvious, obviously on this screen, the screen has no features on it other than a one-way rock. You want to go here, drop the grenade. Oh, I blew myself up. I said the grenade was gone. Anyway, you go there. Now, if you read the hint thing, it'll tell you, oh, we'll use a grenade to blow that up, and then you can find these different chambers in that you need to go through, and you try these things with these things, and the gun has so many bullets, you can buy extra bullets, there's another marketplace you get to, and I mean, it's, that's all fantastic, truly, but it is a game that's horribly obtuse, and I remember, you basically could figure it out by having friends who beat it, and they read it in a magazine. I don't remember knowing anyone who completed Raiders of the Lost Ark and found the Ark, which creatively is in different locations each time, so that's kind of cool. Finding the Well of Souls is part of the challenge. But I didn't know anyone who actually just found it by playing the game. It's bloody impossible. Now, the last thing I want to show you, dear viewer, is my wonderful copy of Robotron 2084, and Atari, wisely, had two control modes for Robotron 2084 for the 7800, one of which was move in the direction and press the fire button to shoot, and the other one was hook up two joysticks. But if you've ever tried to play a two joystick game with two CX40 controllers, not happening. In fact, I tried to do that when I first got this just to confirm that it worked, and caused some kind of wrist strain. I pulled a tendon or something in here trying to. So I went and spent the money. This cost me £76, including postage and packaging, from this guy in America. He has a website called RetroGameBoys with a Z.com. This is a 3D printed shell. It looks 3D printed. Some of the finish on it isn't super cool on the top part, but it's fine. And this wonderful pad. And then you got the two sticks. Now, interestingly, there's These are the rubber grips here are just slip-on. You can pop those off if you want and replace them with whatever of your own choosing. These are 2 buttons. It's based on a 78 controller in the inside, and these are both D-pads. This is controller 1, this is controller 2. You don't get 2 sets of buttons though, so you're not going to actually be able to do anything super sexy with this otherwise. The cables are ridiculously long. They feel very much like 3 meters to me, like a thicker version of the cable that the Evercade controllers have. Now these ports, the jacks from the joystick don't sit as deeply in the ports as I would like, really. And I did have an issue where initially where left-hand controller wasn't seated properly or didn't get detected, but it does work. But what you got to remember is you're using like 2 D-pads with a hat on top of them, so you really have to kind of keep your thumbs in the middle and like you're clicking effectively. You can play 7800 games with this like a gamepad, but it is a little awkward. You got to like stretch your thumb out. Now I'm going to play a more advanced version because intermediate is way too easy. In fact, I played this game when I played it with this controller the first time. I had over 500,000 points and like 4 guys left and the game crashed on me. So I don't know if that was the 2600 plus or if this game was just prone to crashing. We will find out. This is quite a surprise though for me. I never had a 7800. I remember seeing it at Toys R Us and my initial reaction was Atari makes consoles still, you know. Basically, I mean, as far as I had known, the only thing that Atari still did was they made some goofy, and I'll probably offend some people here, but the whatever it was called, the XE CS, it looked like it had, you know, jelly beans on the key, these colorful keys, and you know, it was just trying to basically continue to make, at that time, this was before I think the ST came out, so they were basically just trying to milk the 8-bit thing longer. So the 7800 even existing was a surprise, but the demo that I saw was kind of like, gee guys, you know, you're still doing ports of like arcade games from, you know, 10 years ago. Like Nintendo is eating your lunch for a reason. And so I had no interest in it. Plus the controllers, the 78, the Pro controllers with the joystick, a weird oblong shape, and the buttons on the side, like a horrible retread of the 5200 controller. I just didn't understand the thought process at all. But this is amazing to me, this quality of this port. I mean, look, it's even got the first brainwave is all mommies, and then you get one Billy, and they even have that in here. But you get the music, you know, 7800 though, clearly no slouch. I mean, and they weren't putting Robotron on the NES or the Sega Master System or even the Mega Drive or anything, so what the hell, you know, why not give this a go? A lot of people bought them and I respect it, I do. It wasn't a console that impressed me when it came out, but people's love for the 7800 is understandable. You know, it's just a shame they didn't do some other interesting, you know, ports at the time. Now, if you play intermediate or novice, you know, you'll have like no tanks on the field. This is pretty cool though. I like the fact that someone actually put effort into it. The transitional screens look the same, the electrodes, shapes that are different on each of the levels are faithful to the arcade. A lot of the sound effects, oh man, guy's feet smashed my head. And Robotron is definitely one of my all-time favorites, certainly from Williams. This is another Eugene Jarvis special. Again, one of the best video arcade game designers certainly ever. Philosophy was give players the ability to completely dominate the playfield, define the playfield, give them control sufficient that they can do anything in it. And Robotron kind of, this was the first dual stick arcade game and encapsulated that philosophy. You have a single screen, you have enemies, you have different types of things you're doing, and you can move in any direction and you can shoot in any direction. So it is really just down to your own ability, how well you do at this game. Great design. Milked it a bit with Smash TV, but Smash TV was fun. Unfortunately, never got an outing on an Atari console. At least not, to my knowledge. 7800 has a fairly small library. It didn't exist long enough to really get too big, sadly. But, as recently announced, and available for pre-order now, a new version of the European-only released CX78 gamepad, the CX78 Plus, 2-button joypad, and they're doing cartridge reissuings. They're not enhanced, but they're just reissuings, but nevertheless, 3 of the better regarded games for the 7800, including one arcade port, Fatal Run, which was one of the last Atari 2600 releases, and also had a 7800 outing. A racing combat game, Food Fight, which is another a port of an Atari Games arcade game. And the third one is Ninja Golf, which was an exclusive to the platform from Atari, in which you are fighting ninjas. You're a ninja who is fighting ninjas, but also playing golf. Weird mashup of things, Ninja Golf, but I have pre-ordered all of them, and I will be doing a special 7800 edition when that happens. Those are coming out towards the end of May. The only other thing I've got on my horizon, 2600 plus wise, is I'm waiting on a copy of Donkey Kong Jr. for the 7800, which will complete my Nintendo collection, and I'll probably do a Wii video for those. But I think moving on, next item up for bids is going to be the Atari Couchcade, the Atari Arcade 1-Up Couchcade for Atari, and we'll have a look at that. I'm going to need to open it up and see if I can sort out my trackball with a bit of WD-40, but we'll see how we go. Until then, keep gaming.